Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where it's about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 2, Episode 7 of Raising Dion. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This is a very heartbreaking episode in many different regards because of Nicole's situation. To the point she's not taking her final injection because she, like she says at near the end of the episode, taking it would mean starting a clock. And she wants to spend as much time possible with Dion, which is so heartbreaking considering Braden, or rather the crooked man, is doing all that he's doing, which is cutting into the time that Dion could be spending with his mom. Hell, he's the reason why this all started in the first place. Once again, you could always say, nah, it traces all the way back to Pat. This is so, at the end of the day, we could all say, this is all Pat's fault, so. But at the end of the day, it's just her doing everything she can to try and make this day special. But even Dion's like, I don't want it to be special. I don't want it to be anything. He's like, can I spend time with you? She's like, no. If I could, I want to spend as much time with you as possible, but I need to make sure that you're okay. So she's trying to get everything in line. She's trying to get, as she calls it, a village, because it takes a village to raise a child, and she wants to make sure that he's surrounded by everyone. She's got Tevin on board. She's obviously got her sister. She wants there to be a system in place to look after Dion when she's gone, because everyone together will help forge him into the young man he's destined to be, essentially. And to the point she's letting him ride his bike on his own, and she's following him in the car, and it's just this sweet moment of just kind of if it kind of reminds me a little bit of when it came to John and Judy in Lost in Space, specifically the Netflix remake, where we saw the flashback of him just waving to his daughter she's she's on her bike off in the distance. It when we got I want to say that was Season 2 when we got that episode where she's rushing to him and there's a lot of flashbacks between him and Judy. And to me, that was such a beautiful thing, and it kind of reminisces that a little bit for me, and I'm just especially when she was writing those messages, not writing, but leaving those messages from right, I have $100 all you have stashed away in the coffee cup thing. She's like, do not spend it all on Twixes, but if you do, it's fine. Just don't eat them all at once. Telling him where his passport is right, it's expired, sorry. The paperwork and stuff like that. And it's just and when she gets so choked up about it, it's just it's getting me a little choked up just thinking about it again. I was like, that's such a heartbreaking scene because it's right, I have so much I want to tell you, and it's when you go off and when a girl you have to giving him a little bit of dating advice when he has kids of his own, and it's just that is that sad thing that it's everything I want to be there for you, I won't be there for you. I know you're going to come looking to me for answers, and I'm sorry that I won't be able to be there to give you answers. It's just the most heartbreaking thing. It's just I want to be there for you to watch you grow up, but I won't be able to. But I know the person you are, power or no power. I know the good heart that you have. And her fighting back her own tears, you're it gets me like I said, I'm getting a little choked up just thinking about it now. It's such a heartbreaking situation to be in. He shouldn't be in a situation where he's losing his mom, especially under these circumstances, because especially, it hits Dion even harder because it's he can't do anything for her. I know there was that even heartbreaking element to it when Dion shows up. Esperanza's like, oh my God, you got to ride your bike by yourself. Shouldn't you be happy about it? Didn't you want your mom to let you grow up? And he was like, yeah, but he's like, I'd give anything to kind of, take that back a little bit, just to be a little boy just a little bit longer. Because she even says it herself, it's been the theme in this that unlike other kids, Dion has to grow up way sooner than anyone else, because there's just so much. And, you have Nicole talking to Simone. It's right, while you're at Bayana looking after Janelle, I just check on Dion too. It's right, they're going to be looking after Dion. Obviously, my sister's going to be raising him. But the thing is, Bayona is this large corporation, so they're not always going to have Dion's best interests at heart. So you as a mother would understand you're doing everything you can to look after your daughter, especially because for her, it's for the first time in a long time, I feel Janelle is okay. And it's I just want you to, check in on Dion. She's like, sure. And she also warns her about, obviously, references to Crooked Man, about, right, there's something coming after Dion because he's powerful enough. And it's like, yeah, this person's coming after all powered people. And so she's like, I know I can't ask you to immediately say yes. I need to forewarn you about everything that's coming your way if you do accept this. But like Dion, I just want him growing up around, like grow up and be strong enough, because he is the only one who most likely can destroy this thing, because it is afraid of him, because no other powered person is going toe to toe with it and it's come out the other end, you know? But sadly, we kind of see like the end result of that later on with Simone, because it's interesting, because like her perspective and like her and Nicole are kind of similar, like maybe in the beginning stages of all of this. They were in like where Nicole was in earlier parts of season 1 is kind of where Simone is. Just she kind of wants to deny it. She just wants just be normal. But the sad thing is she's making Janelle deny a part of herself. Like it's a scary part, because I brought it up previously. It's like, oh yeah, it's just because she's scared, like, right, you're going to be so far out of my reach that I won't be able to help you. Like I'm just going to be a part of your life you end up having to forget about, because like where do I fit in your life with all of this, you know? But I think it's like, it's just sad. It's just, at the end of the day, it's not that she doesn't love her daughter. She's just scared. And I think, you know, as humans, like we act a certain way when we're scared, and I think that's all Simone's actions represent, because she was the one that was she just wanted her daughters to be able to get her powers under control so that she never have to worry about it. It's like, cool, get your powers under control, we come home. Then, like, you know, Nicole asked, I'd actually forgot to talk about it previously, but Nicole had asked her to be on the advisory board for the superpowered people, even to the point now Simone's like, to the point Janelle's like, I actually don't want to just like, you know, be on some advisory board, because like the adults, they've got it, yeah, sure, but like sometimes kids need other kids, because it's like, right, me and Dion are close enough in age where it's like, right, like sometimes kids will open up to people closer to their own age, because it's like, right, these people are adults, they're like so far ahead, but it's like, yeah, someone else who's younger going through it, she's like, yeah, I want to kind of play like be a big sis to him, but not just to him, but anyone else kind of going through this with their powers. But Simone's kind of against it, because she wants her daughter as far away from all this, especially to the point she tried to leave with Simone. I keep doing that. Simone tried to leave with Janelle. And Janelle's like, why are you doing this? It's like, right, there's something coming after Dion. And also bringing up Nicole is dying. Like, you did your best, but it still wasn't enough. So it's like, right, we're just going to leave. Like, Dion's going to be all alone. It's like, he's got other people. But also, like, my job, first and foremost, is protecting you. I want you away from all this. Someone that could come after you. It's like, yeah, but we're going to leave Dion to all of that. And she's like, my job is to protect you. I just want things to go back to normal. But that's, once again, the most frustrating thing for Janelle. It's like, because that means no matter what, there will always be a part of me you can never accept. I'm in the process. I'm finally on the right path to discovering who I am, figuring myself out, figuring out my ability. She even said, like, I'm on the other side of my abilities now. I understand them. I'm not as scared of them as I was before, because I referenced it previously. It's just like Dion who, in season 1, when he shut down certain powers of his, like his teleportation. You know, Charlotte pointed out, it's like, right, you did that because not because you were scared. You did that because subconsciously you know it scared your mom, and so subconsciously you buried that ability. It's kind of the same thing there with Janelle. It's like, right, like I will always have to be denying a certain part of myself because you're afraid, and you know, that means I will never be able to fully be myself. You're asking me to give up my new friends, especially because like Fernando was like, hey, you're going to meet you at Dion saying, it's like, oh yeah, like here's some music, like this isn't like me and my band, and I just want to know if you want to hang out sometimes. For the first time in a long time, she found her own form of normal. It's just not the normal her mom was expecting, but it's like she found her footing again after all this time, after feeling like an outsider, after feeling lost, and now it's like, oh, like, you know, someone doesn't look at me as a freak, they know about my powers, and they're okay with it, they're not afraid of me. Like, that's the thing of, like, she found a safe place, and her mom's kind of taking that from her, and so, being so frustrated, Janelle basically used her powers against herself, I think. Is going to be, which I think Janelle is going to be the key to all of this, because Janelle, like, basically broke herself down, so I think, like, on a molecular level, I think she can probably, like, break her, like, very similar to what happened to the, Crooked Man when it reconstituted Pat, maybe. She might have something of that ilk, which may prove useful with the whole Pat situation, because that's rearing up into something we just don't know what. Because at one point while they're checking on him, like, you see that his hand is, like, glowing, like the electricity's flowing, so it might have supercharged a bit of the crooked energy that was left in him. But the doctor, that scientist in particular, is like, yo, he's either going full Superman here, or he's burning from the inside out. It could go either way, because this is unprecedented territory. All of those powered, like, strands of DNA he has in him, like, who knows? But with her abilities to be able to break stuff down, like, obviously, like, she still doesn't have full control of her ability, so Janelle probably will, if she focuses enough, she'll be able to reconstitute herself, but she might be the key to getting some of that DNA out of Pat, because that's still, like, the last resort for Nicole. Because if they don't, like, there's no other options left, you know? Which is sad with the whole thing, because, like, Simone was saying, like, hey, I want to be, like, this village looks pretty nice, but I think it's, once again, it's just her fear got the best of her, because it's like, right, you wouldn't have been going this alone, because that's the thing about a village. It isn't just about looking after Dion, it's about we're there for each other too. So you wouldn't have had to go through any of this alone. Like, you would have had help, you know, with Janelle, figuring things out on your own, being scared. But it's also like, right, looking at Nicole's situation and see how this superpowered world ended up for her. Obviously, you're scared because it's like, right, I need to be there for my daughter. When something happens to my daughter in general, like, this superpowered being is going to come after you because you're a powered person. But that's the thing. Being in Chicago won't help her. I mean, Pat literally went around the world and got power. So it's like, no matter where you run, there is no escaping this. It will eventually find Janelle anyway. But once again, she's thinking what her mom had. She's, you know, which understandable. She's just scared, and you can't fault someone from being scared. Like, you won't always make the best decisions when you're scared, essentially, you know? So, then circling back on the Bayona front, which I really like, that we had David making his moves. It's like, considering everything that's going on, it's like, oh, and he has to basically present things to the board, except his boy Cutler wasn't there. I forgot what the lady leading the board actually said was the reason why he was. I think she was just saying that he was taking a step back or something like that. I don't remember the reason she gave, and he was kind of like, okay, that's the guy that's in my corner. But all right, he's like, I'm pitching the idea. Here it is. Oh, now we'll be able to give people superpowers. Non-superpowered people superpowers. Got quiet. He's like, I hope the reason why you're quiet is because I'm going to make you a boatload of money. And you're like, do you have a head injury? He's like, what? It's like, the fact of the matter, do you know how much money Ben Cutler used? $500,000. You want funding? How about $500 million? Even he was like, oh, David's like, oh yeah, like $500 million is good. It's like, because that $500 million is what we needed to basically cover up everything in Iceland, medical treatments and stuff like that. Basically, they were kind of like, your idea, boo you, good sir. Boo you, and you should be ashamed of yourself. I was like, things super did not go the way he thought they were. He thought he's going to come in there slick. Ooh, I'm going to come out with the big idea. Like, they're going to love me for it. And it's like, no. Because without his boy Cutler there, like, they didn't have the same perspective. If anything, they had Suzanne's perspective. Now, I don't know whether they had this because it's like, why would we do this? Why would we subject people to this? I mean, considering, like, we just found out that someone died in your lab the other day. She's like, we like to consider that a black mark against, like, the company. Like, the fact is that something like that would happen here. Because I think it's also like, right, you're subjecting people to, like, the horrors of, like, all these powers, and what they accidentally hurt someone that they care about, or they lose control. It's like, yeah. Like, these families' lives and these people's lives have kind of got turned upside down having power. Yeah, it's cool and everything. It's like, yeah, people would want powers, but that's a whole chaotic lane that it's like, we as a company are not going to be the hell liable the moment this goes sideways, which it super would. So, but I love that when it's all said and done, they kick him out. He's like, yeah, and then, like, he's mumbling to himself, like, I'm going to make you billions of dollars, and he's just mumbling to himself, and he looks at Pat, you're like, cool, cool, cool. So either he's going to try and, like, well, because, Suzanne calls Kat later on about trying to retrieve some of, like, Pat's DNA before, because it's like, yeah, if he dies, that's their last attempt at getting a cure. It's going now. So either he's going to secretly go in there like, oh, let me get some of this blood and, like, take some of, like, Pat's blood and DNA samples for himself, and either uses it on himself to make himself like the guinea pig, or he's going to just take it and just do some research on his own. I don't know what Dave, but you can tell David's going to go off and do some sly, sneaky crap. It's like, yeah, it's just like, that's his purpose his entire season, to be the sly and sneaky dude, looking at the bottom line rather than looking at the people that are affected by everything. So, we shall see how that plays out. But I'm curious to see what he ultimately ends up doing. It's like, yeah. I'm actually surprised because, like, I thrown it out there earlier in the season. I was like, he's going to end up with Suzanne's job. It's like, no. It looks like everyone, like, the people on the board are looking at him like, boo, no, not you. Not unless he ends up, like, Pat ends up waking up, has all these superpowers. In fact, him and David work together. But, I mean, I'm sure, like, if Pat goes renegade again, it's just going to be, like, cool. It's going to create, like, a very anti-powered sentiment amongst people, maybe. Maybe even amongst Biona, like, people, I keep saying it, always say it differently every time. Biona, like, there's going to probably be a different sentiment amongst, I don't know. Like, obviously people, and we've seen with, like, Janelle, and we've seen with Fernando's dad, like, people can get scared. We've seen with Nicole that people can be scared, but, you know, it takes an adjustment period, and with the plans of the advisory board, I'm sure that could end up changing a lot of perspectives on it. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that plays out and what, like, sneaky stuff he's going to end up doing. But, other than all of that, we have Dion, you know, he's supposed to be doing his solo, but he's not feeling it. And obviously he can't really confide in everyone about, like, what's actually going on. He can't really explain, like, yeah, my mom's sick, she's dying, she doesn't have much time left. So Kwame is like, right, your mom asked me to, like, basically let you shine. And it's like, your mom, no matter how up and down she was, I've been on stage with her, and I know she can kill it. And it's like, she wants you to do the same thing too. So you don't want to disappoint your mom, which can come off a little dickish. But at the same time, Kwame, you cut him some slack because, well, for one, Kwame is the one that, like, I am looking for. Simply ask for perfection, and that's what I'm going to get. He's got that mentality, but also he doesn't know Nicole's sick. So you cut him some slack, and he's just like, right, you don't want to disappoint your mom, right? And it's like, that's a lot of pressure to put on Dion, but it also incites him to, like, you know what, right, my mom's already sad and stuff, and I'm sad too, but I'm going to do the best I can. I'll make this the greatest performance for my mom without, hands down, you know, so it is kind of a sweet thing. Then there's the whole her and Tevin thing, and it's like, oh, I brought some for my date. It's like, oh, you got a date? Where is she? It's like, oh, you didn't see her? Oh, man, that's kind of good, but okay. It's like, oh, those flowers, are they for Dion? It's like, oh, he really isn't like, oh, he doesn't? Well, I guess, can you hold on to it? It's a really cute exchange that they have. But it is that sad thing of, like, yeah, there is something here. And just, like, right before things could even really get started, you know, you found your way to each other. And it's just like, right, it's cut so short. Like, there's such little time left. You know, and even Kat being like, you know, go ahead and kiss already. And even her, like, about to cry, where, like, Nicole was, like, you know, holding off the, you know, want to spend as much time with Dion as she can before she, you know, starts the timer with the final injection. And, like, Kat starts to cry. She's like, don't cry. She's like, don't tell me don't tell me not to cry when if I want to cry, I'm going to cry, you know? Such a heartbreaking thing. Hopefully, you know, because legitimately, like, there's a part of me that's like, there's no way they'd actually kill Nicole, right? Like, I don't know, dude. This could be depressing, but I don't see them doing that. So I'm thinking Kat is going to come through in the end, but the question is, like, how are we going to get there? That's what I'm hopeful for. I'm leaning towards, I'm more positive, optimistic. I'm a little more like, 70-80% sure that Nicole's not going to die. Like, it's still, the fact is, I think they've said it enough, at least in my mind, and maybe you're like, oh, maybe it's just me being naive, but I think they've set it up enough in my mind where I'm like, there's still a good enough chance they could decide to kill Nicole. I don't think they're going to, but we'll see. Because I think they've done a really good job of capturing that emotion of just, like, yeah, making you believe it because she believes it and everyone around her believes it. But they're not giving up hope. Like, you know, Kat's hoping, like, right, if I can figure something out. And the question is, like I said, what is it that they figure out? Like, will it be something, like, who will help with, like, how we get there is going to be the question on potentially curing Nicole. So there's that element. But just like always, like, Brayden showing up and being like, cool, like, let's end this. He gets inside of Dion's head, and he's able to kind of create, like, this, like, almost like feedback noise in his head that no one else can hear. So the question is, like, how, like, is that just his powers expanding again, or what? I mean, it's just like, right, he can make you see anything, so he can probably make you hear anything. It was kind of something I was wondering too. But it's like, oh yeah, Brayden's like, let's go for the final showdown. Let's go to the football field. Things are going to play out a lot differently than last time. So, and Dion's like, all right, fine, let's do this. He's rolling up, and your boy Crooked Man has come with his army, because we ain't seen we know the infection spread. Now, this isn't just Nicole that's in this situation. There's all these other people. This is a crap ton of people. So you know they're going to have to save Nicole in the end, because it also means saving her means saving everyone else that's got infected and turned into a monster as well. So, luckily, he isn't the only superpowered person there. Obviously, he has the Triangle Justice with him, but he also has Tevin there. So, and I think Janelle's going to be a part of all of this as well. So, it's definitely going to be interesting to see where all this takes us. The next episode is the season finale, so it's going to be so interesting to see how this plays out. Once again, what Brayden's situation is going to be, whether they're going to be able to free him from the Crooked Man and kill him once and for all, or will he be kind of like Malivore from Legacies? If you haven't seen spoilers for Legacies, Malivore is like a plague that kept coming back in some shape or form. It seems like he's perma-dead now. He seems super perma-dead currently, so we'll see, but it seems pretty set in stone. So my question then becomes is energy never completely dies, so will Dion finally be able to finish it, or will it just go off and find someone else? If so, it will always come back for Dion until he gets older and strong enough to finally put it down once and for all. So we'll just ultimately have to wait and see how things play out in the season finale, and I'm excited to see. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.